Okay. My name is Tamera. I am the Medicare biller. Just not family medicine, obviously. We're going to review the most wonderful, wonderful piece of paperwork that you'll ever see in your life. No.
Believe you're lying.
But it is extremely important for our billings. So I'm going to kind of go through kind of fast. There's a lot of information. Try to answer any questions there. So an ABN is mandatory form. We have to give it out to the patients. It notifies them that they could have to pay for services that they're having done. Things included on an ABN could be labs. That's a big thing. EKGs, they only pay for a screening EKG once with the Welcome to Medicare physical. Immunization administration needs to be on an ABN, not the immunization themselves, and only specific administrations need to be on there. And then any cosmetics, which is skin tags, lesions, moles, warts, whatever you call it. Was this the next slide or did you pass?
It went past.
Okay, so this is a sample of ABN. I don't know how well you can see it. You're going to have one in front of you in your offices in the MA area. I don't know how you guys are set up. You're going to have a laminated one. On the front is how it gets filled out correctly. And on the back is a list of almost everything that is going to need to be on that if it's being done. We have it fixed now. These are not in the EMR like they were going to be. We can't get them in the EMR without the date of birth. Medicare does not want the date of birth on there, so it's in the PM. It's just going to be up to the front office to attach these to patients that have Medicare, like to their super bill or however you guys, I don't know how you do it. So it's kind of self-explanatory. Their name, patient ID number cannot be their Medicare number. It has to be our Millbrook number. List of services to be provided. You can't say a 80051 or whatever. You have to say what the service is because it's to tell the patient what they're having done. And then why they may not pay. They've had that lab too many times, or it's a skin tag, so that's not medically necessary or whatever. And the estimated cost has to be within 25% or is it $100?
Yeah, and there are prices listed on
Yeah,
the cheat sheet.
with the cheat sheet, the prices of everything that skin lesions and stuff are hard because there's all different codes with all different prices and you don't know how big or how many or
That's why they give us a buffer
of 25%. So it must be completed by the patient after an explanation of their options. So here, you have to explain to the patients what this means. You want to have it done? I want to have it done, but I don't want Medicare billed for it. I want to pay simple care costs up front, or I don't want it. I don't want and in this, we thought we could put services there. We found out we can't put services there. We have to put services. A laboratory, a procedure, an EKG, whatever is being done. Okay, and then I don't know, I haven't seen anything that would go in the additional information. Maybe a little explanation of what the lab is for, I don't know. And then sign and date, of course. And Abby worked really hard to get this on one page because the ones we have are on 2 pages and those are invalid. So lab work done even for patients with a medically diagnosed condition need an ABN. Our definition of medically necessary and Medicare's definition, totally different. There is an extensive list of diagnosis codes. It's on Medicare website. I have a copy. It's about 180 pages. You're probably not going to look at that. So if they're coming in for their physical and they're having routine services, even if they come in every 6 months to have a TSH, they're having TSH for routine service, you don't need an ABN because that's not going to be covered. Anything routine is not. Routine immunizations, Tdap is not covered except for a medically necessary. So if they come and say, I want my Tdap because my friend has whooping cough or whatever, that's not going to be. So this is, we needed an APN for the administration of the Tdap and the Zostavax. Zostavax isn't covered. It's covered on Part D. I believe we're going to make it so patients over the age of 65 are not getting the Zostavax with us. They get a prescription. They go to the pharmacy, get it done there, go get the medicine, come have it administered, however they want to do it. Yeah. So this is just procedures, you know. Even if they have an infection, a skin irritation, itching, pain, any of that, we still should get an AVN because Medicare just, they don't want to pay for any of it.
They have a very small list of medically accepted diagnosis codes for lesion removals for Medicare's idea of what's medically necessary.
And most of it is usually not where we're doing it. They will pay for if it's in the eyes or nose or whatever. So this is just plain and simple. This is what you get an ABM for, and this you don't even need one because these aren't covered services. So you have, I thought you changed that. Okay. It's selected labs is what we changed it to, the admin, EKGs. If you think it may not be covered, fill it out. For just to cover, if, okay, we'll keep that. Okay. A little bit nervous. Anyway, okay, so what is your role? This didn't get changed either. Okay, call center, we're just kind of recap, you know, they need to make sure that they're scheduling the patient correctly for you know, if it's a physical, get money, whatever. Front office is going to be responsible for checking them in, printing out the ABN. We're going to have little neon cards that say,
I don't know what it says.
We don't know exactly.
Deanna, Kat, did you guys work on the cards that are going to go on the encounter forms?
Yeah, we worked on them. Are you talking about the
little cards? Yeah.
They're done, except we're going to revise them, as we always do.
Okay.
So, you guys know me well enough yet? We're going to revise them because right now they say laboratory tests only, and as you just saw from the EKGs and the skin, some of the procedures that are being required, that it needs to be more global term on there. So we're going to revise that before they go.
So it's going to be a little laminated card that's going to be attached, paper clip to the APNs indicating this is Medicare patient and they might have services that you need to.
Do y'all know what an ABN is?
Yes.
Yes. What is it? What does it do? Why?
Because Medicare is cheap.
Because it would either be a non-covered benefit by Medicare, or they might not think that it's medically necessary because they know better than the doctors sometimes. So anyway, we just have to jump through some hoops for Medicare, and so beneficiary is what the term that they use to, like, someone that's insured by Medicare, they call them a beneficiary. So it's like a beneficiary of the benefits of Medicare. So that's why that term is there, just so that you know. And that's how you can remember it if you want to go that way.
Well, it stands for advanced
Well,
beneficiary notice.
Yeah.
So you're in advance telling the member that they may be billed. Basically. Okay, so the front office is going to have that form. It's going to go back with the patient. CSS, whatever. What is that? Clinical support staff? Okay. Okay. It's going to be your job, I guess.
Yeah, we want you guys. Okay, so the patient's going to receive that little notice, okay, when they walk in the door. The front office is going to hand them that notice. And on that notice, it basically says, as a Medicare patient, you may be, some services for you may be ordered today that might not be covered by Medicare. And those include lab and all those other things. We want you to be aware that this will be your financial responsibility if Medicare doesn't pay. Okay, that's what the little card says. It also says, hand this to your healthcare team when you get to the back. Okay, so when they come to the back, they're going to hand you that little card. That's going to alert you to the fact that they're a Medicare patient, and they may need an AVM printed. Yes, it is.
Or just walk out the door.
Okay. Yes, it is. And so you need to keep that with the super bill or whatever you do, or it may walk out the door, but that's okay. We wanted to use them as a patient information sheet as well as just a notification to you guys. Okay? So hopefully it'll work eventually, and then that'll take, we introduced this to front office last Saturday, and so they're aware of their piece of it. Nothing needs to be scanned except the AVN once it's signed by the patient. So not every Medicare patient is going to need an AVN. It's only if they're going to get some procedures that might not be covered by Medicare, right? And then it's your job, along with the provider, to explain which services those are, write them in those little boxes. You have a good example of the one that the handout that she gave you. And then make sure that the patient understands. We really want to make sure that the patient understands that some of these charges that we're doing today may not be covered, and they're signing their willingness to pay for those if they're not covered. That's the whole purpose of this form. So you really need to, it's a chance to let the patient know that these services might not be covered, what services might not be covered, what their anticipated cost is going to be for these, and then they have to sign whether or not they're going to pay for them or whether they're going to decline those services today. That's why the provider's piece of this is so important, so that the provider can explain to the patient why they might need these services and why they might be beneficial, even if they're going to cost the patient money. Yes, Jillian.
Just also another reminder that if you're going to do anything to go out to Path Lab, they have their own union that they have to have signed codes for vitamin D's, anything that goes into Path Lab.
Okay,
Yeah, we got a copy of
there's a
ours.
whole waiver for
No.
vitamin D now.
Well, there's a waiver for vitamin D for Regents patients
Right.
that we're having everyone sign
Right.
because 90% of the insurance companies aren't paying for it now.
So we're saying on top of the AVN that we need to keep in-house, by the way,
Yeah.
we need to have a PAML one as well?
There is.
Because ours does not cover, each AVN is company specific.
Okay,
So ours does not cover PAC Lab.
okay. So ours would be for in-house labs and anything we're doing as far as a procedure in-house, and the PAML one would be for anything we're sending out.
Right.
And I have an example.
Vitamin D.
Where do we find that?
Jillian, are those online? Are those on the internet?
Those are in
No, those aren't.
that's the handout that she's talking
That's
about.
why
Yes,
I emailed.
yes.
I think we're gonna-
online also.
Yeah.
Deanna, and also if you go to PACI, the PAC lab portal, so the lab in each clinic
Right.
can actually go on each website. It's a print off. Yeah.
No, they have to have it.
Okay, did you guys all hear that? Did y'all hear Jillian?
But John does have, we do have copies of specific ones specific to our clinic because we have different pricing.
Okay.
Like the vitamin D's are priced differently for our clinic.
Okay.
I'll have John send
So, for those of you who are in the lab more predominantly, you need to know that it's available on the PAML website to be able to be downloaded, and make sure that if you're sending labs out, that those get signed by the patients. And just clinicians, if you guys are drawn labs, then you probably have an idea by now which ones we send out and which ones we don't. Make sure that you get to your lab or walk across the street for H3 or print it out from there, and get one of those. Thanks, Jillian. I didn't realize that.
I have a question.
Mhm.
So on here, it says no AVN is needed for physicals, but
Yeah.
then down it says, on the next page down, it says the call center, that when you're making a routine physical, that you need to make sure the patient knows that it's covered by their insurance.
That's correct.
So, where do you want
Okay. An AVN is for any services that could potentially be covered.
Right.
So if you have
Might
the
not
right
be covered,
diagnosis
or
code,
could be covered.
it could be covered. A physical is never covered by Medicare.
Okay.
They don't pay for them, so therefore you don't need an AVN because it's not covered at all. So, okay.
I had a hard time understanding that too, Chelsea, so I completely get where you're coming from.
It is, and it's a lot of information, and yeah.
Another question?
Oh, so if y'all have that question, where did the estimated cost, was that all simple care prices, I assume?
No, these are our
Those are
prices.
billing.
This is what we bill.
This is what we bill.
Okay.
Okay, so really quick, I'm just going to finish up and then we'll take some questions. So Medicare requires that we do this. This isn't just because we thought it'd be great to make you guys fill out paperwork. Our reimbursement is adversely affected. We wrote off $9,800 in 3 months for not medically necessary. $9,100 of it was Medicare because we didn't have this little piece of paper. The one we had was invalid, so even the ones that did get done, we couldn't use. So, I mean, that's
lost revenue. Okay.
We're paying the patients to get services
Yes.
because we're taking the time, the resources to do these, and then just throwing it in the garbage.
Okay, one more thing about these. The original gets scanned into the chart.
Oh yeah, that was on the last slide.
Oh, it was?
Sorry.
Oh, and you
I
missed
forgot,
it?
yeah.
And the original, so it gets scanned, and the original needs to get sent to billing. With what other form? Does anybody know it gets sent to billing every day? With the,
They don't do it.
I know. There. Yay! Who said that? Good. Okay, yeah, so the care sheets and the ABNs get sent to billing every day.
Okay, so it has to be scanned. A patient has to be given a signed copy. Once they sign it, a copy of it, and the original has to come to the billing office, and we get to.
And keep them for 7 years. That's what they do.
Yeah.
When you say scan, you mean front office scans into PM?
Yes.
Right, like in the little
Yeah.
paper clip.
There's
thing.
two definitions of.
Sorry, scan into the PM.
Yeah.
PM.
Thank you.
And that was it for me.
Yeah, so let's keep moving